Chiefs fans, this is the Clyde Edwards-Helaire you've been waiting for. We'll have more on him post-game, but one half of football is done, and the Kansas City Chiefs are using the back that has been much maligned the way that he should be. Patrick Mahomes is dealing. Don't like the amount of pressure that he got in the first half, Mahomes, but I do feel like they're moving the ball efficiently, and they look very much ready for this season.
I would agree with that completely, and I think that you're finally seeing what Clyde was supposed to be coming out of college, and now he's finally there. I agree with you. I don't like the pressure that Mahomes has been under, but I will also say injuries are abounding for this Chiefs team, and I'm not really liking that either. Thank you to Harrison Butker for stepping up and actually kicking a 54-yard field goal with no plant foot. If you noticed at the very end of that, with that kick, he didn't take his normal steps.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
He basically he took one step and kicked.
It was all hip, man. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't have any run up, and kudos to him, and kudos to Justin Reed. I mean, being able, I don't care that he missed the second extra point. Just being able to be functional and to step in when you need it, because quite frankly, I think if you can just replace one person in that scenario instead of replacing Tommy to the kicking position and then somebody holding, I think that's a better scenario at the end of the day. And Justin obviously has the power on that last kickoff. You can see it there. So it may be something that what was a novelty in training camp has to become a reality later on in the season.
Well, I would imagine if he's actually going to be out a couple of weeks, they'll bring in an actual kicker. But we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, if they put him on IR, it's at least 4 weeks. So, we'll have to see what happens. I will agree. I'm seeing people talking about Trey Smith. I hope he's not hurt long term. They said it was questionable with an ankle. They haven't ruled him out yet, so that'll be something to watch. As far as Juju pressing, which I also saw somebody say, he's got 6 catches for 80 yards. I think he's played very well, and that was a heck of a play by the defensive player. He was trying to get down the field so they could try to score a touchdown. It's a heck of a play by the defense, and they get paid to make those types of plays.
Well, and here are the biggest gains of the first half. A 20-yarder, that was Juju. An 18-yarder, that's Travis. A 17-yarder is MVS, and 25 yards is the biggest play, reception from scrimmage, and that's Clyde. So you have 4 players that are hitting huge chunk plays. This is what we had hoped for. Now, went a couple times early to Hardman, didn't get that done, but there's more in the bucket here. And
Clyde's got 2 receiving touchdowns. And the second, I didn't get to see the first one because CBS didn't really care to show the game. So can't really tell you what was happening there, but I do think that we will see a different Clyde this season, at least from what we're seeing right now.
And you guys heard me talk about this all run up in the preseason. As of right now, there have been 7 receivers targeted, pass catchers targeted so far. I think that number goes up in the second half. Clearly, the Arizona Cardinals are functioning at less than optimal strength. I don't think the Chiefs are going to have to push too hard to get this W as it stands right now. But you want to continue
Andy
to pepper
needs to
the
make
ball.
sure not to. Yeah, Andy needs to make sure not to take his foot off the gas.
He will. You know he will.
I know. That's the problem.
But in the meantime, Pat needs to continue to pepper the ball around. A lot of little swing passes out of the backfield today, and I think that's perfectly fine. Again, that is more momentum to pull them out of too high. You saw them being too high on the defensive side from Brad Joseph early in the ball game. And as those passes came down, you saw him moving out of that, doing replacement blitzing. That's what you're looking for, because then you're going to have the opportunity to go downtown. I think that's pretty good standing right now. L'Jarius Sneed leading this team in tackles at the half. On the defensive side of the ball, they look pretty solid. Murray hit a couple of nice passes into zones that are designated areas that are soft in his own defense. So you can't really blame that on the players. The one long one was between Fett, who had to be in the short zone, and Reed that was over the top in a half shade. So I think that's the kind of thing. If you're going to force players to make those kind of plays, you can live with that. And I think the defense is doing a pretty solid job so far.
Yeah, and outside of one good Kyler Murray run, I think they've been doing a very good job. And again, I didn't see the first drive, so kind of hard to really make a judgment based on that. But it's good. It's good that Kansas City is doing basically what they did in the preseason in a lot of ways. Yes, the Cardinals got on the board with the touchdown, and yes, that play was disgusting because everybody got washed down. But overall, this is still a good Cardinals offense. They just do still have pieces. They're not the pieces that you would be fearful of, but they do have pieces.
Yeah, I agree. And at the end of the day, I think that they're rotating on the front for the defensive ends in particular pretty well. That last one.
Did you see Dunlap in the middle?
I did, and I saw Frank as well. I'm really going to be really interested because I haven't seen Dunlap play a lot of snaps yet. Maybe I'm missing some of them live, but we'll see. Really interested in the counts because right now I like what they're doing and keeping it balanced and keeping everybody fresh. Let's see if they can maintain that. 2 of the first 3 drives, they got 3 and outs. So that really helps you protect not only your stamina in this ball game, but overall just expose your defense to less snap. So really happy with that. I see them up the game a little bit in terms of a little bit more stunts. I'd like to see some more tackle and replacements, those kind of things. Get George on the inside a little bit. I have been impressed with Karlaftis' pressure in terms of like walking the tackles back into the pocket. He's been close a couple of times when Murray breaks the pocket. Overall, I think a pretty good athletic performance. Happy with McDuffie. Looks super solid, doing his job. Cook got in there a little bit at the end. Like I feel like the rookies are contributing pretty well.
I was going to say, has McDuffie even been targeted? I don't remember seeing McDuffie get targeted.
I don't know that I saw it either.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, that's pretty solid for a guy that's going up against AJ Green, I think, for the most part today. So you got to like that. I think that this Chiefs defense is going to be a good defense. I'm not going to say they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be a good defense, especially when they start getting to where they have a little bit more chemistry with all these young guys, and they're still trying to find themselves right now. So I think that's part of it. I think it was really interesting to see that they went with Chanel as the starter. They didn't put Lee in there. I figured Lee was going to be the starter because that's what you saw all preseason, but they went with Chanel. And so that means you have 3 guys that are rookies that are starting on this defense.
And Chanel was in there a couple of times in the base, coming off the edge on an overhang position. Like, it looked good doing it. That's fine. Patrick needs to clean a couple things up. I'm not concerned about the left hand, but I think it's a little bit of a distraction. He lost, I think, some accuracy there in the second quarter after that injury. Kudos to Noah Gray because he saved an interception at one point on an underthrown ball. So, like, nothing is perfect, but this is a pretty good start for a team that looks to be having the ability to go back to the AFC Championship in the Super Bowl. But they've got to clean things up in the second half.
They do. They definitely have to clean things up. And look at it this way. MVS has 2 catches. Juju has 6. Those guys pretty much didn't play in the preseason. You've already got them involved in the offense. And you haven't really even gotten Jody Fortson involved. You haven't gotten Noah Gray involved. I mean, yeah, you threw a ball his way, but it wasn't a good throw. And it wasn't something that Gray could have probably made. It would have been a fantastic catch to make that play.
Yeah.
So you got more weapons, and you've seen Watson on the field, but he hasn't been targeted. I didn't see Sky Moore get targeted, but of course I missed the first 2 drives. So
right. I've seen Jody a couple of snaps. Haven't seen much. I know Lloyd's asking about that in the chat, folks. I don't know what's going on with Jody. If it's still just, hey, protectionary, that's perfectly fine right now. They're moving without him, and they don't need it right now. So if you can let him rest a little bit, I think that's fine. We're going to see what happens in the second half. They might usher in a change of who the personnel is. We'll get to that here. That's our time for the half. Thanks for joining us. We will be live post-game. Make sure you drop in here. We'll be live with Matt Derrick initially, and then we'll shift over, and I'll be live on RGR, so check that out as well. Thanks for spending your halftime with us real quick. You all have a good one. We'll see you after the game.